Joining us now for some perspective is a man who knows Washington well. He's the former state director for California Senator Dianne Feinstein. Trevor Daley, come on into this conversation as we look here at the White House. I'm just wondering what you think is happening, what kind of discussions are happening right now before they actually get to work there, the new president and new vice president and their families.
Good afternoon, Christine. It's quite a day, very historic. Right now, the Bidens are in the White House, and I think, they take these minutes, every 4 years or every 8 years when a new president comes in with their family it's stepping back and really kind of soaking in the day and what has transpired. And I know for the Bidens, they're really feeling very, very inspired about what has come for them. And it's a new beginning and it's a new day.
Yeah, and he's going to get to work in about an hour. He's expected to sign several executive orders. What can you tell us about that?
Well, he's going to sign 17 executive orders. There's a lot. And I think kind of the big ones are he is going to rejoin the Paris Accord. That is big for President Biden. Because he wants to show the world that the United States is back, and they're back to being a player in an environment across the world and being a part of the other leaders in the Paris Accord. He's also going to do something that is really against former President Trump, and that is to stop the construction of the south border wall. And that is really big today because you have former President Trump leaving, did not attend, quite historic. And he had his own rally at the airport. And we're seeing a very big contrast because today's speech was very unifying for America.
Well, Trevor, you're now with Sorrell and Associates, but a long time right-hand man, I should say, to Senator Dianne Feinstein. And the policies you're talking about, the proposals there, the Biden change in policy is not really going to sit well with some Republicans who say whether they were a diehard Donald Trump supporter or whether they just believe in the Republican policies that you just outlined go against what they believe. So how do you find some common ground, or is that not the purpose to find this common ground?
Well, typically when you start a new administration today, you have a number of executive orders. Trump did the same, Obama did the same, and you have initially some. So it's, then you have a break. And I think really, Christine, we're going to have to look at the coming weeks and the coming months because Biden has his work cut out for him. Because one of the first things he has signaled is that he wants immigration reform. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be tough for Republicans to get around. You already have a number of senators that are really voicing opposition to that reform. So what you question is probably the biggest issue of our day, is where we go from here. Because Biden's message this morning was very unifying. It was historic in his message. But where we go in the coming weeks is going to be a test, not for Biden, but for all of us, for the country and for our leaders, because both sides are going to have to give.
Absolutely. And what about the fact that former President Trump is the one and only president to be impeached twice? So that word impeachment, there's expected to be a trial. Where does that line up?
Well, so I think we're all watching to figure out how can now Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer put this schedule, because Biden has signaled that he wants the Senate to work both sides. He wants them to do all of his cabinet picks, get the hearings done, get the votes done, but at the same time do the trial. And Senator Schumer has signaled that he's very intent in moving forward with this impeachment. Now, there are many out there that really question, what does this mean? How is the impeachment going to change the temperature within the Senate? Because, the House is always described as this place of robust dialogue and debate, but the Senate cools it down. But right now, our country is quite tense in all of our debates. So we'll have to see how it plays out.
Trevor, what does today say to you? We're looking at this picture of the White House. It's a peaceful scene. It's a day of celebration for democracy. Contrast that with 2 weeks ago, where we all witnessed that riot there at the Capitol. Your senator, Dianne Feinstein, was there at the Capitol. You talked to us about what was happening inside, gave us information as to how they were going to proceed with their day once things did become more calm. But contrast what the world might be thinking as they see this right now and what they saw 2 weeks ago.
So I think, at midnight last night, you saw a lot of newspapers around the world that were welcoming this new day of Biden. There was a lot of pictures that I saw when I was reviewing them, in London, where they had a number of papers that were saying goodbye in a sarcastic way to Trump. So I think today, when you look at this, there's two things that are happening. We have Biden that is giving the United States a unifying charge, asking every American to step up and really look at where we can come together. And then he's also telling and inviting the world to welcome the United States back. That is the second message. He is telling, all of the world leaders that he is back. And then, there are many countries like China, North Korea, that had relations with Trump. And I'm sure that Biden administration is going to look with a watchful eye to China, North Korea, and Russia. But, when it looks to London and the UK and many other countries like Australia, they are welcoming this day. They are very, very happy with where we are today.
Trevor, as a former Feinstein state director, you've worked a long time with a powerful woman. So thinking of Kamala Harris now as our vice president, how do you view her in that role?
Well, I think that, when I say there's two takeaways from today, that is the third. And, I first have to say that it's quite inspiring. When you have Harris sworn in as the first woman vice president, African-American descent, Asian descent, she is telling young girls all across the United States and all across the world that you can be anybody you want to be. I mean, that is quite magical and quite a statement. So as far as a leader, what she's going to do is she is going to support President Biden in every which way. And she is going to take her marching orders to make sure that she can support his agenda. I also assume that she is going to play a great role in the picture that the United States has in the world, how we are viewed. So I would see her taking some foreign trips, maybe in a few months, to rejoin some of our relationships with some of the United States partners.
All right, Trevor Daley from Sorrell & Associates, thank you so much for your perspective.